Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to G for G. I'm Napalm Dawn, and today, here on G for G on YouTube, we're going to talk about the rebirth of a game I loved quite a bit back literally 11 years ago, and that is Rusty Hearts. Now, some of you, I would imagine most of you, probably are not even familiar with what Rusty Hearts was. Rusty Hearts was a side-scrolling MMORPG beat-em-up type game that Perfect World set up for the States. They were the producer within the States back over 10 years ago. It was quite a fun game. It lasted for about 3 years before it was sunset, and it was one of my favorite action games at the time. There was a similar game to it on Facebook called Chronoblade, but Rusty Hearts was pretty well done, was a lot of fun, had several characters, and it bore some similarities to Vindictus, except Vindictus was more out in the open world where your instances were more outdoorsy things, whereas within Rusty Hearts they were more corridor crawling and everything like that. But Rusty Hearts Revolution is the rebirth of Rusty Hearts, and it is now available in open beta. So if I go to my YouTube channel content, back about 11 years ago, I was covering Forsaken World, World of Tanks, Eden Eternal, Black Prophecy, Rift, and in the middle of the summer, Rusty Hearts came out on July 27th, and I started covering it on July 30th. Absolute great deal of fun. It was a really, really fun game at the time, and it was back in one of the more enjoyable periods of producing content for my channel, where I was just getting in so many open betas, like betas after betas. The Lotro, Lord of the Rings Online, I was in there, Rift, this Rusty Hearts, several other games at the time, the original Rage game, which was a lot of fun, this Bounty Hounds, which for some reason is this Bounty Hounds Online, really, really highly viewed video on my channel. Apparently this game was really big in the Philippines. Blacklight Retribution, Tribes Ascend, Skyrim was first coming out over then. SWOTR was coming out at the time, and I was in the beta. So I was giving some coverage to Rusty Hearts. Definitely a fun game. If you look at the Wikipedia page for it, you will see that it was produced by Stairway Games and Windysoft in Korea, PWE in North America, which is often a kiss of death, Sega in Japan, and Junli Games in China. The three starter characters were Franz, Tood, and there was a third person, Angela, and then eventually they added Mei-Lin, Roselle, Edgar, and Leela. These guys down here are essentially the same classes as the main, except for their gender switches. And on the 29th of July in 2014, almost exactly 3 years later, they announced it would sunset, and then it finally died in September of 2015. So the Rusty Hearts, rustyrevolution.org is the webpage that you can go to register and get your account set up. They have a Discord that is called RH Revolution. All of these links will be in the description. I'll put a link to the webpage, a direct download of the game, and a link to their Discord. It's also right here on their Discord. So let's go ahead and jump into it and show you guys what it's like. I didn't start in the game because there is some overlay issues with it, and it doesn't make recording particularly easy at times with this game. It is gamepad compatible. You'll notice the old Logitech Gravis gamepad there. I'm using a Razer Wolverine Chroma version 2. Lovely gift from the girlfriend this Christmas. It's getting a lot of usage. Really do love this controller. So it goes through the intro. Normally there is music and sound. I have it muted so that I can get the right balance with the recording and everything. Very anime intro. There are a lot of elements of this intro that kind of remind me of the Castlevania series on Netflix. It is a slightly different style, but the sort of tone, the colors, the palette, the darkness of it does remind me quite a bit of Castlevania. Really good series. If you have a Netflix subscription, I highly recommend checking out the entire Castlevania series. It is adult. It's not one you want to watch with kids, just a little heads up there. So this guy with the sword is Franz, one of the original starters. He uses melee weapons. This is the gunner chick that they added after the game was live for a little bit. There's Tude, kind of like Snow from Final Fantasy 13. And here is Angela, the scythe-wielding chick, who kind of reminds me of Haruko from Fooly Cooly to a certain degree. This is the very Castlevania-esque part of it over here. So you come up to this lovely shot of the town. And we are going to go ahead and log in. You have to accept this little agreement. You can see how long they've been working on it with January 2020. This is a game that I've been watching the rebirth of for a little bit, and it just recently hit the open beta, so I'm absolutely thrilled to cover it again. Rather than go ahead and show you guys all the intro stuff, because it is a little hand-holdy for about 10 or 15 minutes in the beginning. If you say, no, I've never played Rusty Hearts before, it's one of those tutorials where it sort of locks you into clicking the things that it wants you to, and you can't click anything else. Like, if it's like, hey, click on the map to move, and you're like, well, I want to open my inventory and check out the new sandals that I just got. The game's like, no. You need to open the map and you need to go there. I don't fuck your free will. So that's up to you. It is handy. It does teach you quite a bit about the game and how to run around the town. So I would say at least once do the tutorial. So I'm gonna log into McTude, which is was my main back in the day, and I've started him off as my main now. You always start off in your room. My room can be entered as long as you are in a town and not a dungeon. You can walk up to your chest and throw stuff in there, or go to the ornate door and leave. You cannot pick the fountain yet because you're not allowed in that section. More on that in a moment. Game seems optimized pretty well. Haven't had any issues with it. I don't really know my FPS in it. The FPS counter is not on for this game. There's Elma. You can turn in hunter paper to her, and she allows you to cash out for specific pieces of gear. So the hunter voucher is what it is. The one really bad thing is everything is like 22. So you get hunter vouchers now, and you're like, cool, I'm gonna go to that chick and I'm gonna buy stuff, and she's like, yeah, no. You're still kind of a big noob, so you can't buy anything. She'll give you some quests. If you hit M, you get this little map overlay where you can adjust the opacity of it. You can click anywhere on the map and you will auto run there. Because, of course, generally, outside of American MMOs, almost always have an auto pathing. I cannot get into the next section until I get a drop that allows her to craft hair for me. So if I sort by Tude and I do craftable items, you will see that I cannot do it yet. But I can do things like a rabbit head, a reggae head, teddy bear head, full-on locust. So this is just a giant locust costume. I believe this is the first one people tend to be able to craft. I don't honestly remember. It was 11 years ago, but when I see the box heads, I feel like that is what was available at the time. Here, though, it looks like I'm building towards some of the shirts and the pants, which is kind of cool, but they don't stand out as much as being able to get the hair or the heads and everything like that. If you hit I, you get inventory. It is exactly what you would expect. I wonder if there is a... Do I have the ability to sell? Let's do a repair all. Gold is very stingy in the beginning, I've discovered. I think maybe right-click is sell. Yeah, so right-click is sell, and this is one of the only ways that you can make money early on is by selling stuff. Otherwise, things are pretty stingy. Tude McDude is a leather wearer, so what you want to do is you want to try to wear as many leather items as possible. Sometimes you'll get mail that drops, and you're like, oh, like this one, these chain boots. You can see the physical defense is much higher. However, the magic defense is less, and I'm not fulfilling my leather mastery by not wearing all leather. But for now, that's what we're looking at. So it looks like I don't have anything slotted in my head right now. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that. Look at that price. I mean, 200 gold, that takes me down from 755 to 555. Expensive. The claw should be on. There we go. So C is not your character, believe it or not, in this game. You have to hit L, which is weird. L is a quest log in a lot of games, but you bring up L and you get your character sheet, which has your equipment, your costumes, which I'm not wearing any. Your title, one of your early quests has you go in, clear a level, you get the title, and then you have a quest to equip it. You can see I'm missing my belt, some rings, and a keychain over there. They'll come later. Tude McDude likes to use claws and gauntlets. That's what his abilities are based off of. This guy over here, George, gives you quests too. He is also where you go to do your skill points. I've never quite understood this. It says I have 124 skill points, but it's not like I've spent that amount, and I also, like, I don't really have that much free will in my skills over here. I have to click the ones that are white. So these are the only two that I can go ahead and grab. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to learn it. Not too sure why I'm waiting, but okay. And then I have enough points to do that. So even though I have this giant base of skill points over here, I can only spend it where the game allows me to. I'm not too sure if that is a function of the rebirth or if it was like that in the original game. I can apparently chat with the cat. Yeah, boy, that's really exciting. I kind of expected a bark. Just kidding. You can do stuff at the wanted board later. Vindictus, of course, had that, and you can set up to join parties there. So we're going to go to the dungeon entrance. I'm going to do canals, except I will do it on hard. And you'll see what combat is like. It's very much like a Double Dragon or a Final Fight, just as a online MMO version of it. It is a corridor crawler in the sense that you have to clear out the room before you continue. So you can see down here I have some health and mana potions, and I have these abilities. When you are using the gamepad, a bunch of these will be mapped. This A and S, so the uppercut and the dash up, god damn it, bow guys. They're pre-mapped already. So you have your standard attacks. You have a grab. When you grab somebody, you can either throw them, immediately or beat on them a little bit. Certainly stuff we've seen before. You have a block. You have a dash. You have a grab. So here's what it's like to beat on somebody a little bit. You are not invincible when you are grabbing somebody, so keep that in mind. And as you can see, every time you clear a section, you're allowed to go into the next one. That's weird. I keep throwing instead of beating on them, which is a little weird. Generally, when you pick somebody up, you have the ability to just sit there and repeatedly punch them 4 or 5 times. You do have a block in this, which leads to a perfect guard. Let's see if we can do it. No, a little early. And the bow guy is bothering me. So we're just going to hide over here for a little bit so that the bow guy can't get me. And of course he gets me. So there's what happens when you perfect block. You have that little charge that comes up afterwards. Oh, these doors. Yeah, I forget what lets me through these doors. I have totally forgotten about these things. I think I don't remember if it's a secret or... I know there are levers in some levels. And you also have, you have your special abilities down there, which if I get a slightly tougher pack. I'm going to be on the lookout for a lever. I completely forgot those doors. So you can start a combo. That actually was a combo that started off of a perfect block. I didn't even mean to do that. So you can either end with one of your specials, or you can start. So that's me starting a combo run off of a special. There's me ending with one, except I whiffed. A good way to do a lot of damage to a boss is to pick up one of his minions and throw them. When you kill a boss, you have a limited amount of time to go around and collect any drops and everything, and then it will put you at your reward screen. Depending on how well you did in the mission, you get a rank. I do believe it's very Devil May Cry-esque, where it goes from SS down to F or something. You can get these bronze cards when you're going through the level. The more bronze cards you get, the more out of these cards are good ones. So as you can see, I can go ahead and get up to 8 of them. However, there are 12. So you will never max it out. And what that does is that when you flip these, 3 of the cards will be good. I've not run into a bronze card yet. That is what my luck is like. If you go to choose map, you can pick a different one. Or you can go back to town, which is good if you're turning in quests. Not too sure what the dungeon store is. So this time, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention, see if I can get through the run without too many hits. And leveled up. I do believe this level has a lever at the end. When using the joystick, I'm not too sure how or what the mapping is to use the abilities that are D, E, and G over there. I have to check. There's a separate gamepad exe, separate gamepad config.exe that is in the Rusty Hearts directory, where it will tell you what everything is mapped to. Yeah, that's really weird. I seem to... Maybe it's when I'm on the gauntlet and not the claw. I could do it, but at least on my previous weapon, I was able to just pick somebody up and either throw them or just pound on them a few times. Standard, action fighting game type fare. You also have a jump. And double tapping in a direction is the dash. The block looks like that when you do it. Still, it took a couple hits. That's alright. We're almost done with the dungeon. For that to be the first hit over there is actually pretty decent. And, each level has some destructibles to a certain degree. It's always the bow dudes. It's always the bow dudes. Let's see if we can set up a perfect block. Nope, because he's an archer. He don't want none of me up close. I've never tried to block a boss. Alright, so lever's not available yet. I do remember that when a boss is red, he's sort of like Juggernaut in Marvel vs. Capcom games, or Hulk, where they're uninterruptible. Like that. I want to get away from that. There you go, and you kill the boss, of course. Oh, bone claws. This is maybe where you can finally start making a little bit of money. And that is... yeah, I don't really know what that lever does yet. Maybe something on very hard or higher. But there we go, SS. So that is what Rusty Hearts Revolution looks like. I will put up a link in the description to all of the linkables here. Hey, I finally pulled a bronze card, but of course it is fabric shoes, which are an armor class below me. I'm leather, that's linen. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to town so I can sell some stuff. And there you go. There is Rusty Hearts Revolution, a rebirth of the old Rusty Hearts game from 11 years ago, and I must say I'm quite happy to see it back. Now if I can just get Darkspore and Gigantic back. Gigantic was trying to come back as Project Stamina, and I think there is a way I can play Darkspore again. I have to check on that again, but we'll see. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one.